But Chris, before we get into this next week, because there's there's only a couple weeks left. We definitely have to talk about last week. And we will start off. I'll start off in Kendrick's stead with the SIAC. We got a clip from Edward Waters as they battle back from down 24-7. Byron Russell hits Devin Thompson. Another game winner. No Hail Mary this time, but hey, a game winner all the same. As Edward Waters University continues to punch above its weight class, or announce that it is here as a program in the SIC and at the Division II level. Chris, I know we talked to Coach Morgan last week, and about about what they did to get ready for Tuskegee and everything like that. But talk to us about talk about Edward Waters and their potential. I know you talked about this year where they're not eligible for the NCAA Division II playoffs. They still got they'll be eligible after this year. But how scary can they be in Florida as a Division II HBCU?
Well, a lot of schools at the Division II level, they don't always recruit out of state because the dollars are kind of slim, but you do have some Division II schools who do, and two that come to mind are West Florida, who's naturally on the west coast of Florida, and I think they actually do go to like Central Florida to get recruits, and also schools in like Georgia, because Georgia has a rule where you can get in-state tuition if you are in a state that borders Georgia, of which Florida is one of those. And so there's a lot of talent still left to be gotten in Florida. I know Virginia Union also does recruiting in Florida and have had quite a bit of talent come out of Florida to go to Richmond as well. So, Edward Waters is a private school, certainly have advantages that some of the state schools may not have in location, and being able to kind of go out and look at other locations outside of state of Florida too. I think it's just an investment, right? Edward Waters certainly made an investment in the program, and you kind of see that. I just kind of want to talk a little bit about this game though, because if you think about how this played out, Edward Waters got behind pretty quickly. I mean, they were down 24-7 in the second quarter, and had to bounce back and ended up facing double-digit deficit again midway through the fourth. I mean, and for them to come back, and win this game is, they're cardiac cats at this point. So the one thing we have learned about the Waters is you got to play 60 minutes with them, because if you don't, they certainly will certainly make you pay for that. So. A lot of good things coming out of there. There is a lot coming out of that for them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, we will continue to watch what's going on with Edward Waters this week. They got a big game for them, the AME Classic. We'll get into that just a little bit later, but we do want to, kind of pay homage to all of those games that came down to the wire last week. Miles and Allen had a tough game last week. Miles came home with the win, which is why they were telling people to take their hat and their coat and their leave. So we had that going on. But in the CIAA, we had Elizabeth City State, Virginia State. We talked about that. Down in Salisbury, the blue on blue, which that's got to be illegal. They can't keep doing. But anyway. Down, homecoming, last play. Listen to the call, though. Listen to the call.
Walk it off. Shaw, we'll see you later. Let me tell you how to get back to Raleigh. First of all, get out of here first. Get out here, and then go down Hurrah Street, take a right, in the street, all the way down, take a left, hit the interstate, 85. You see a fork in the road, 85-40. You take 40, and we're going to see you later. Livingstone Blue Bears, walk it off. Reginald Johnson here, Blue Bear Sports.
Shout out to Reginald Johnson of the Blue Bear Sports Network. Man, that's got to be in for Call of the Year, man.
The Blue Bears.
This man
Again.
This man GPS. He GPS.
Let me tell you how to get back to Raleigh.
Oh, bruh. Like, man, look, that's a game, everybody who paid their $30 and they were kicking up dust, about it. I hear my sources. I was not at the game. I was at the best homecoming that was going on last week, Winston-Salem State. But, I hear that because everybody had to pay to get into the game, they had a crowd like they hadn't had in a long time. And they were, again, another situation where they were down and they fought back. And, you got to give Livingstone credit this year. They have found ways to win games, except for the game against Fayetteville State. But we won't go into that. Just talk about just talk about that, Chris. We know you've already giving us about them making you pay, but just talk about this game.
I mean, the fact that it just seemed like for a while Shaw was kind of having their way with them, and I mean, when you're down 26-14, you find a way where Sidney Gibbs is having his way on the run game. And things seem to be clicking on offense for Shaw, something that they haven't seen happen in a while. You're just like, man, like, what do you really do? But Livingstone being Livingstone, they continue to work through things and they just find ways. They just find ways to win. And the thing about Livingstone is they're the Edward Waters of the CIAA right now. If you're not careful at the end of the game, they're going to just snatch it from you. And that's exactly what happened this time. It happened against Winston-Salem State, and it happened again to Shaw. That's just what they do. They're just a much more competitive program this year. And it was kind of hard to see whether that would truly happen or not. But these guys have really brought in some guys that can really play. And it's going to be really interesting to see how the last two games of the season play out for them. But, man, I mean, again, Livingstone is one of those – Livingstone and Lincoln, those are two games that if you just want to watch a game for entertainment, those are the two games to watch if they're at home for things like this.
Yeah, LC and LU getting it done. The first actual – well, I know Kobe – Don't mute me out and don't throw me out of here because I said the first. They say they're the first in that, and we know Livingstone and Smith. I like the joke is they've been playing football since 1892, and they're still trying to figure things out. But it looks like some things are going right for Sean Gilbert and those guys over there at LC. I love the blue uniforms, just not on the blue turf. Any thoughts on the blue?
I would hope that I would like to see them run some trick plays with that personally. Somebody laying down camouflage or something like that and get up and start running something. I would love to see something. Them run some trick plays, and Livingstone, they like to roll the dice. So I would like for them to see what they can do with that.
Gotcha.
I get it. Why you would feel that way. I mean, I would hate to be the announcer because I would wonder if I could really truly read the numbers and everything off the uniform, so everything blends in like chameleon.
It's got to be like it's got to be disorienting to try to tackle them. I mean, But anyway, it's creative. It gets them attention, just like the blue field. And so, hey, they seem like they're having a lot of fun with it. So, and just down the road a bit up. We didn't get a GPS.
Wait. Before you go in there, the one thing that we do need to know here about Livingstone and Shaw, because I didn't want to forget this, but Sidney Gibbs, he is now the all-time leading rusher at Shaw, after he rushed for 183 yards against Livingstone, and I think that is worthy of noting before we moved on, because Livingstone won the game, but he had a day.
No doubt about it. Shout out to Mr. Gibbs. We are going to talk about Shaw a little bit later. A lot of people were expecting them to contend for that CIAA South. That's not going to be the thing, but they can still have a say in the CIAA race this week. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But then lastly, as we wrap up last week, we go down the road, Chris. The game you and I were both at. It was homecoming in Winston-Salem State, our first real homecoming since 2019. It was a beautiful day outside, great weather. You got the crowd. It was a solid crowd inside Bowman Gray Stadium. Hella more people outside the stadium, but hey, it is what it is there. Everybody was having a good time. Inside the stadium, you got a St. Aug team that's coming in, and they're one of the national stories of the year in Division II sports, not for a good thing. They're winless, but they're also you'll find out the troubles that they've been having, their coach swap. But again, they came into Bowman Gray Stadium ready to play. And jumped out to a 17-7 lead on WSSU. And, I just had this feeling, Chris. I said, you know what? I feel like, they came in the game averaging 5 points a game. I think I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to get – something just told me they were going to get their season high against WSSU. But, just talk about that game, and then we'll get to – let's talk about the first half of that game, first 3 quarters before Mr. Dalen Lee kind of, made a true announcement to the crowd at Bowman Gray Stadium.
I mean, I'll confess that I actually went to the tailgate at halftime when it was 7-7, and I'm just like, man, this is not a very exciting game.
Not you, Chris. No.
I know. I did go to the. I can't even lie, and it was like
you didn't bring me a plate back. Let the record show for that,
bro. It was like packed out there, like people, especially after what happened last year, right? When Winston-Salem State had homecoming canceled. So people really
the hurricane that didn't
the hurricane that didn't happen, right? So people really showed out and came out for homecoming this year, and it was definitely like trying to walk through a huge crowd. It was awesome, nonetheless. So I was sitting there stuffing my face or whatever, and all of a sudden I was trying to figure out what's going on into the game. And I suddenly realized that what was a 7-7 game has now turned into 17-7. I'm like, oh man, I need to get back to work, because something is not right here. Let me figure out what is going on. And St. Aug is just like Coach Hilliard just said, their defense is very good. They just got so much that they're trying to figure out on offense that what can they do to sustain drives is the question mark. And you kind of saw them try a whole lot of different looks. They've got Butler as a starting quarterback, but sometimes they'll even inject DeAndre Proctor as who's a wide receiver who played quarterback at high school. They'll inject him at quarterback, and he'll do like some rushing plays too. They're really creative on offense. It's just that they just cannot sustain drives for very long periods of time. And if there's one team that they could have done it against, it's certainly Winston-Salem State, who the defense is just not that good. It's just flat out not that great. So the problem is that when you encounter that, it certainly put Winston-Salem State behind the curve. And it wasn't and the other part of this is that the Rams did go down the field in the first half, got into the red zone, and they got nothing for it. So that just shows you kind of like WSSU is just so mysterious on offense. Nonetheless, the Rams did come back in the fourth quarter and reeled off what was 17 unanswered points, including scoring Dalen Lee rushing in from a couple yards out with 11 seconds left to save homecoming. So huge shout out to him as a true freshman coming in. Winston State now won 4 games, first time since 2019. Certainly have an opportunity to get at or above 500 in what would be a pretty remarkable upward trend for them. to finish the season. So.
Yeah, no doubt, and we got a clip from the last couple of minutes, because for us, we're both there at that Livingstone game, and we saw where WSSU kind of came up too little, too late, and so let's look at what happened there. Rams got stop here. Fourth down.
He got it!
Here we go, Ramley.
Game's over.
And this is like almost successful.
Game's over. Oh, shit.
We almost had not quite the Red Sea sound on the field, but how can you watch this play and not love NCAA football?